Bring in our company, Elahe Azadi from the National Journal. Ryan Grimm is an MSNBC contributor with the Huffington Post, where he is Washington bureau chief. Good to see both of you. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
So the president is laying out essentially the Democratic strategy for the midterms. And the question is, Elahe, will they stop running away from health care now?
Well, they might not be running away from it, but they're certainly not going to sit and dwell on it for a long time. What he said yesterday at his press conference in many ways echoes what Senate Democrats have been saying as their midterm election year legislative agenda, which is really an election year strategy where, you know, they're not saying we should run away from Obamacare, we should defend it, we should talk about its benefits, but let's focus on economic issues. Let's focus on the minimum wage, on equal pay for equal work for women. And in that same press conference, the president pretty much said the same thing, that, you know, we should defend this law. There's a good story to tell, but let's not dwell on it. The American people want to talk about other things right now.
Well, regarding that good story, Ryan, the pushback is, A, we don't know how many people have paid yet, and we don't know how many people who are insured of that 8 million weren't insured before. And so the question becomes, could these numbers that actually do sound very good not be so good after all? In other words, is it too early to spike the football?
You know, which is kind of a strange line of attack, but I guess it's the best of bad options that the Republicans have here. You know, to make it a factual debate, like, are these numbers actually real? Did 8.1 million people sign up? Means that eventually we will get the answers to those factual questions, and the answers are pretty obvious. I mean, why would people sign up for health care, which people want? People want health insurance. It's terrible to go without it. Even if you're 22 years old and perfectly healthy, it's in the back of your mind constantly that you don't have health insurance, and at any moment your life could get upended. So, you know, if it's affordable for people and they're getting these subsidies, why would they sign up and not make their payments? You know, all of the estimates that we've seen have shown that something like 80 to 90% of people have made their payments, and I expect even more than that will make their payments.
And yet Republicans are making these arguments. It does seem, Elahe, like a little bit of a shifting strategy. Here's what John Boehner said yesterday in a statement, quote, "The White House continues to obscure the full impact of Obamacare beyond refusing to disclose the number of people who've actually enrolled by paying premiums. The president ignores the havoc that his law has wreaked on private plans that people already had and liked." And Eric Cantor, "If the president is so confident in his numbers, there is no reason not to release transparent and complete enrollment data and answer the questions: how many enrollees were previously uninsured and how many people had lost their previous plans due to Obamacare." Do these statements suggest at least a little that maybe the Republicans are worried that this issue is turning around on them?
I mean, Republicans are going to find every which way to continue talking about this law because they feel like it works for them politically, aside from whatever policy debates we want to talk about. The law still remains unpopular nationally, and in the key battleground states where the control of the Senate is up for grabs, it's unpopular. So they're going to keep talking about it. But what's interesting is if you look at the House, a number of the votes that the House has taken recently that are related to Obamacare are not necessarily these full-on repeals, but they're looking to chip away and change the law, and they're trying to make arguments that they think resonate with people, that let's change this requirement of 40-hour work week to 30-hour work week. And so they're trying to, I think, move away a little bit from that total on repeal rhetoric, even though a number of Republicans are still talking about repeal, because that kind of plays into this whole view of them being obstructionists.
And President Obama, I think it's worth noting, wasn't just talking about the numbers. He didn't just tell Republicans that the fight to repeal this is over. He went after governors who refused to expand Medicaid. Listen to this.
This does frustrate me. States that have chosen not to expand Medicaid for no other reason than political spite. You got 5 million people who could be having health insurance right now at no cost to these states. Zero cost to these states.
Ryan, it's almost like he's giving them another set of talking points. Republicans are unreasonable. They'll let people be sick to further their own political agenda.
Well, I mean, the facts are as they are on the ground. I mean, you know, there's 5 million people who would be eligible for Medicaid. You know, if the state would simply accept the money. And on behalf of these people who are uninsured, these governors and these state legislatures dominated by the Tea Party are rejecting it. You know, it's an ongoing crisis for these families who would be eligible for health care. And then at the same time, you see in their statements questions about, well, how many of the newly insured were uninsured in the past, which indicates that they're concerned about the uninsured. Yet they don't have to wait for the answer to that question. Here are 5 million people who could become insured if you would just snap your fingers and accept the money. It's as simple as that.
In the middle of the debacle that was the rollout, there was a lot of analysis that said the reason this is going to be so powerful for the Republicans in the midterms is because you're not going to have enough time between now, meaning a couple of months ago, and November to turn the narrative around, that the narrative is still going to be they really messed this up. It does seem as though the narrative has been shifting as these new numbers are coming out. So let me ask you both quickly what your political gut tells you. And Elahi, I'll start with you. I think a couple months ago, the expectation would have been that 100% of the Republican message was going to be about health care going into the midterms. What is it now?
I think it's 50-50. They're still talking about health care, but the way they're talking about it is as it relates to the economy. And as long as they can focus on the economy, then they feel like they have a winning strategy. But it's still focused on health care, but highlighting the connection to the economy.
Ryan?
The focus will continue to be Obama. I think Obama remains extremely unpopular in a lot of these red states where senators are trying to defend their seats. So the name of the law is colloquially Obamacare, so anything connected with him is going to continue to have low approval ratings. So I think they'll just keep beating away at the president and trying to tie these senators to Obama and hope that that drags them down.
Ryan Grimm, Elahi Azadi, thanks so much. Have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.